Okay, so this video is to help you label the heart correctly. Possibly the first thing you might do when labeling the heart is just remind yourself which side is which, because you will label the heart as if we were the person being labelled. So this side of the heart, even though it's the right hand side of the paper, is actually the left hand side. And then this side is the right hand side. So it's a good idea to remember that. Okay. Now, if we start from the top of the diagram and work our way around, this blood vessel here, okay, is bringing blood into the heart, therefore it must be a vein. It's bringing blood from the rest of the body, so it's the vena cava, and it's coming from the top of the body, so it's the superior vena cava. Okay, so that's the superior vena cava. That's a vein, so it's bringing blood towards the heart. If we move down, the next label you need is the chamber that delivers blood into, and that delivers blood into the right atrium. So we're on the right hand side, it's the upper chamber, so it's the atrium. So right atrium. Okay, now at this point it passes through a valve. Okay, so this valve stops the blood flowing back into the atrium when it passes into the ventricle, and this is the tricuspid valve. Okay, and once it's passed through that tricuspid valve, it enters into this chamber here. This chamber is labelled with this arrow, and this is the right ventricle. Okay, now this blood vessel under here is actually another vena cava, or it's part of the vena cava. It's the inferior vena cava because it's coming from the lower body. So while we're here, we will label that. So again, the vena cava is a vein. It brings blood towards the heart, into the heart. Okay, and in this case, it's deoxygenated. It's got no oxygen in the blood. Okay, now moving round, once the blood has filled up the ventricle, it is then pumped out through this valve here, okay, towards the lungs. And because it's towards the lungs, then this is known as the pulmonary valve. Pulmonary valve. And again, like all the valves, its job is to stop blood flowing back into the ventricle. And you can see that this splits into two blood vessels, which go off to the lungs. Now, for some reason, they weren't labelled in the original diagram, so it might be a good idea at this point to label this. So this is the pulmonary artery, because it's taking blood away from the heart. Unusually, though, for an artery, it's carrying deoxygenated blood, and the other side of it is over there. Okay, so maybe we could put a little star to say that that's also the pulmonary artery, or part of it going to the other lung. Moving around again, we've now got this large vessel on the left hand side, so a large chamber, sorry, on the left hand side. So this is the left ventricle. And then again, we've got a valve here. Okay, and this valve prevents blood flowing back into the left ventricle. And because it's at the base of this large blood vessel, which is the aorta, and this is called the aortic valve. Now this valve, as I say, prevents blood flow back into this vessel, which we've already mentioned is the aorta. The aorta is the biggest artery in your body, and therefore the biggest blood vessel, really. You can see it splits off here into various places, one to the head, one to the two arms, and then it comes back behind the heart and down to the lower body. Okay, so it's a big blood vessel. Now this valve here prevents blood flowing from the atrium back into the ventricle. And it's a similar name to the tricuspid valve, except this is the bicuspid valve. So tri and bi mean 3 and 2. And it describes the number of little flaps that make up the valve. So there's the bicuspid valve. Now the bicuspid valve prevents blood flow back into this chamber here. So this is the left atrium. Okay, and they receive blood from the lungs. Okay, and therefore we'll just add an extra label here because there's two parts to this. There's one goes in here, and then there's more of this side. But these are all the pulmonary veins. So they receive blood from the lungs, which for a vein is unusual because the blood is oxygenated. Okay, so those are the labels that you need to learn for the heart.